if you cannot put into words what your value is, then how are you supposed to communicate that to other people?
I love bookkeeping.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for listening to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast. My name is Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And today we're going to be talking about something that really is going to be important for those of you who own a business, own a bookkeeping business, or you're just looking for some information before you get started with your entrepreneurship journey. And that is how to communicate value. We are going to try to make this episode as knowledgeable as possible without dragging this on for an hour, because I feel like this topic is something that we could talk about for a really long time.
Yeah. And I honestly, I've had this conversation with so many different bookkeeping business owners, and I feel like I never say everything that I want to say. And I could just have so many different types of conversations on this. I absolutely love this topic.
Yeah. Well, and I think in this episode, we're really talking about this when it concerns entrepreneurship and bookkeeping business owners. But I mean, I think that this topic can be applied kind of anywhere in the workplace or anywhere in relationships. But I will try not to go off on a tangent with that because you know how we do. But I think, Melissa, one of the first things when I think of communicating value to customers or potential customers, I think one of the first things that you have to do is to go within and kind of identify what your value is and identify your promise to your customers or clients, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. And as always, I think that this always circles back to you should have a niche, because then that's a heck of a lot easier to identify. I think that kind of doing an internal audit of either what you're going to offer or what you do offer and how that benefits your clients is going to be the first step, because if you cannot put into words what your value is, then how are you supposed to communicate that to other people?
That's huge. I think that's something it sounds simple, but kind of going in and doing that self-audit of your business, and you're making a clear objective of how you stand out, what your promise is to customers, and how are you going to communicate that? How are you going to get from point A to point B with communicating your value?
Well, so I have a really great exercise on how to do this. And I'm working on a course for essentially, like, the title is pending. The content is built out. As always, I have too much to say, so I'm actually trying to parse it back a little bit. But this is part of it. And it's essentially like an establishing your worth course around essentially sales tactics for introverts. And this is kind of broken out. And again, I have not finalized titles or names or anything like that, but this is like a proven sales tactic that I use. And it makes it so easy because it's basically creating mini elevator pitches, but for different parts of your business. And I call it, I go base, it's a features, benefits, and check questions exercise. And so the first step that you want to do is basically define all of the features of your business. And features are the facts about your business, the things that never change, like no matter who you're talking to, this is not going to change. So for instance, I offer monthly bookkeeping services. Doesn't matter. I'm talking to Hannah. I'm talking to a prospective client. I'm talking to a current client. I'm talking to an employee, whatever it might be. I offer monthly bookkeeping services, right? And so what you want to do is write all of those facts down, all of the features. So you should have a list of at least 10, if not 20, if not 30, right? Whatever it might be. I offer monthly bookkeeping services. I offer receipt management. We use QuickBooks Online. Whatever it would be, the facts of your business, you write that down. And then what you do is you want to take each individual feature and list out all of the benefits of that particular feature for your clients. And so a benefit is the value of that feature to your client. And it answers the question of your client, like, what is in it for me? So when I say I offer monthly bookkeeping services, what you want to do is answer the question, what is in this for the client? So I offer monthly bookkeeping services. The answer of like, what is the benefit of that is that with monthly categorization of all of your transactions and reconciliation to ensure accuracy, you can have consistent financial reports that you need to make the important decisions in your business. Obviously, when you first do the exercise, it's not going to be that like parsed out into like exactly what you would say to the client, but essentially monthly bookkeeping equals monthly financial reports for decision making, that type of thing. And so what you want to do is write down every single feature. And then for each feature, this is my challenge. I've made it easier for people. Write 5 benefits for each feature. When I had been in other sales roles before, we were forced to come up with 10 to 15 benefits for feature, which is hard as hell. But if you could come up with 5, that's a good goal. And then essentially, and I'll get into this deeper at another point in time, but then you roll into check questions, which is basically putting the conversation back to your client saying, okay, I offer monthly bookkeeping services. The benefit to you is that you could have monthly financial reports to make your decision making. Are monthly financial reports important to you? And so it's a feature benefit check question. And if you write these out ahead of time and have them like essentially in your toolbox, then when you are trying to communicate your value to somebody in whichever place that you are, you have these individual like mini elevator pitches for each individual service of your business that you can pull out that is prepared so that you can communicate your value even when typically that would be difficult for you. And oh my God, that was a long rant. I could talk about this for years.
No, I'm really glad to get your input on this because I think a pain point for a lot of people starting out with entrepreneurship and starting off owning a bookkeeping business. I think when it comes to communicating value, that's when a lot of imposter syndrome kind of pops up and rears its ugly head. How do you, if you've experienced this, when you're trying to communicate value and the imposter syndrome kind of creeps in, what's something that you do to boost your confidence or to at least appear more confident to your potential clients?
So in the moment, so say for instance, I'm in a call and I just feel like, well, crap. And I'm not on my game. I literally do have these things written out because at the end of the day, consistency is key. Managing expectations is really important. And so even if I'm not feeling it, I still need to go through the motions and get the information to the clients, even if I don't feel like I'm on my game. And so that's when I rely on like my, written documentation of the sales items that I need to cover, my processes essentially. And I will just go through the processes, even if I'm not feeling myself, because I'm prepared. And I've done that on purpose because I'm an introvert. And I have been in sales calls and I've been in in-person conversations where I literally forget what to say next. Like I have lost all ability to talk to humans without being an idiot. Like I am tongue-tied. My mind is blank. Like any type of nicety. Like, have you ever been in a conversation where you're like, oh, hey, how are you? And they're like, oh, I'm great. How are you? And you're like, I'm great. How are you? And you're like, what? Like that is me every single day. I literally just did that this morning where I was like, oh yeah, I already asked you that. Okay. And it's like, I have to go then to my process, to my documentation and just go through the motions because I will get that I'm naturally shy and introverted. All of my ability to talk to humans has come from years and years of practice and tools like this. And so when I revert to my natural state of just being insane, in no way should I be talking to humans, I just go based off of basically like my note cards. Like I have these little note cards where it's like, okay, if this happens, then I say this. And then if this happens, then I say that. And that gets me through it until hopefully that's not all the time that I feel that way, but it'll get me through those calls that are rough.
Today's show is brought to you by Keeper, the one app to run your bookkeeping business. Keeper helps you get faster client responses with your own custom branded QuickBooks integrated client portal. Finally, you can say goodbye to those pesky spreadsheets full of uncategorized transactions. Keeper also helps you catch those embarrassing coding errors before your clients do. And with Keeper, you can generate beautiful custom reports that your clients will absolutely love to read. To find out more, go to keeper.app. That's keeper.app. Mention I Love Bookkeeping to get 20% off your first 3 months. Again, go to keeper.app to find out more. Thank you for listening.
I think being prepared is a great way to avoid kind of the feeling of lacking confidence and the feeling of not knowing what to do next. I think being just ready and prepped for things like that, and kind of, even if it's before a meeting or like an in-person networking event, I think it's so great to kind of practice in the mirror or write down your main talking points. And I think kind of once you overcome the initial nervousness and you kind of get that first awkward talk out of the way, it's easier to be like, okay, that wasn't so bad. When it comes to communicating value with your current clients, how do you stay consistent and keep it's like kind of like nourishing the relationship?
That is so funny. So we actually have a new department that's our client success team. And our 3 objectives are education, retention, and collaboration. Because I feel like we did not consistently nurture relationships for the same reason. We were not consistent in a sense. And so we actually joined our sales and marketing department with our client onboarding department and a few other random roles into this client success team for that reason. So that we could maintain consistency through the sales and onboarding process into production. And so I'm currently working on that. But for a lot of it, we have, again, processes and automation to keep us consistent, because there are a lot of people on our team where consistency does not come naturally. And it's really easy to get distracted because of the nature of the business that we're in. And so setting yourself up, again, being prepared, knowing that could be a potential outcome, and setting yourself up for success when you are on a roll. It's just like, front loading content, right? It's the same thing, like front load that consistency, because your client doesn't know that your email campaign is automated and scheduled months in advance, but it's still going to have the same effect with that information, with that follow-up campaign. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and I think that can also be such an important aspect of your value, is having that consistency and nourishing the relationship with your current clients. I think that really speaks volumes. And I think people really appreciate that. When it comes to, especially for those of you who are listening that have a niche, Melissa, because you have a niche, how do you feel like you stand out from the crowd with being rare and having that rare value that people really want and people need? How do you communicate that? Because I know that everybody, especially those of you with a niche, I know that you can kind of look within and think, okay, how am I special? How do I stand out? How does my business compare to other businesses? How do you best communicate the rarity of your business when it comes to potential customers?
Oh my gosh. I could also talk about this forever. I could talk about all these things. When we're talking about like communicating value or the sales process or the onboarding process, like I want to say like that's like the honeymoon period for me. I love the newness. I love it. And I I'm good at it. And I think that's probably why I like it. Just with everything, right? We all want to be good at what we do. And when it comes to that specifically, I think a lot of times it's how you package it. It's how you word it. It's the copy that you use. And, for instance, I love to overuse the word proprietary because it's just so cool, right? So we do actually have a proprietary painting business chart of accounts. And it's proprietary because we created that thing, right? Because it didn't exist before. It is not special for anyone that has thrown together a chart of accounts. It is not it's nothing revolutionary, right? It is a painting specific chart of accounts, which is cool to anybody that's never had one. So I have to think about, again, not being jaded because I think now, okay, just like I said, it's nothing special, but to the painting business that has never worked with somebody that actually understands their business, a painting business chart of accounts, that is so cool. And so trying to keep yourself in that state of mind that everything that you are doing is revolutionary to someone that has never experienced that level of service. You have to match their excitement just consistently in the sales process. And I feel a lot of salespeople get jaded and they're like, yeah, we have this chart of accounts for painting businesses. No, I have a proprietary painting business chart of accounts. It's so much better than yours. I just did a diagnostic review on yours and your chart of accounts is a mess. Dude, all of your labor is in expenses. You're not even categorizing materials. Yeah, I'm going to do that stuff and I'm going to get you a gross profit so that we can put it in line with industry benchmark standards. And when you just start talking to people, you actually know their business, even if you're not niching, but you actually do know about their business specifically, just that initial effort is setting you apart wildly. So when I come and I say we are bookkeeping for painters. I know painters. I know how to help painters. It's just I don't even need to say anything else. They're ready to sign up. Now, that being said, it is harder than that. And there's a lot of reputation management that goes into that and following through and managing expectations and, going through the motions. But niching has literally just defined, I feel our success, the turning point in our success. If we had just tried to serve everybody, we would have just been nowhere near where we are. But yeah, I'm going to go on a rant about this, but it's all about how you package things and the excitement that you put behind it. And really, again, communicating what that means, what's in it for them. That's all people care about in a sales process when they are looking to buy something, even if it's a service, is what's in this for me? Is this what I need? Is this what I want? And it's your job to give them that information from an educational standpoint so that they can make that decision and to guide them through the sales process to get them there. And doing that in a way where you can be excited that you are there to solve their problems is a big way.
I think what you said about it's all about how you package things and coming into it with enthusiasm. I think that's half the battle for a lot of people. I think sometimes the lack of confidence can cloud your enthusiasm because you're more focused on saying the right thing and you're more focused on not being nervous, that you kind of lose that enthusiasm. And I know that that's something that I've experienced before, but I think that's huge. I think the way that you approach things, but also with the excitement that you can have, I think it gets people really on board with what you're pitching with that kind of elevator pitch that you talked about.
You can do that even if you don't have the confidence, if you're prepared ahead of time. If you have, your features and your benefits written down and you're excited about the work that you do, or you feign the excitement of the work that you do, right? You don't have to feel confident, but you can tell them about what you do and be excited about it in your business and how you could help them. The biggest thing I think is it's a mindset switch, which is also something, that I talk about a lot, is just, better changing your mindset into what works best for you. And for a lot of people, sales is not a comfortable place to be. If you think about, some of the best salespeople that you've ever, worked with, they typically tend to be extroverted, right? And very knowledgeable, like in a sales role. Or they're like a used car salesman and no one wants to be like that guy. And so you think like, oh, as an introvert, like I can't be good at sales. But if you change your mindset that this is not sales, this is educational. I am coming from, a place of wanting to provide education on my services. And I am wanting to provide solutions to the problems or the pain points that these prospective clients have. And at the same time, I also want to make sure that I even want to work with them. So it is a discovery call. It is a fact-finding mission rather than I am selling you on my services. Because honestly, any first call that I ever have with somebody, I am not even trying to close them necessarily on the first call, because I think that there's a lot more to it that you have to get through before that step. If you really want to find the customers that see your value and respect your value, that takes time because it's really relational. It's like, it's really building relationships while determining, if you're a good fit to work together, because it's a two-way street, right? Like, yeah, we want to close sales, but you have to work with these people. Like we're not a one and done service. We're bookkeepers. We have to reach out to them on a monthly basis. If you offer advisory services, you have to sit down in a Zoom meeting with them. Are these the type of people that when they email you, you're going to sigh because you don't want to answer them? Like you don't want to work with them. So I think that's a big part of it too, is that just take the sales out of it, because you're coming from a place of education and you're really just trying to discover, is this a good relationship for both of us? And can I solve their problems? And if you can solve their problems, that's really freaking exciting. And so that should excite you, because you're like, yeah, I can solve your problems. I can do your bookkeeping. That's easy. I can get you monthly financial reports. That's easy. Yeah, those are all the things that I do. And then you get really excited. And after the first time you do close somebody from that way, like it'll just build your confidence with every time this actually works. It'll build your confidence over time.
I love that. I think it's a good point to wrap this episode up, is just that it's less of a sales pitch and more of coming from a place of building relationships and education. If you guys have tips, questions, concerns, or you just want to talk about how you like to communicate value to your clients or customers, please shoot us an email and chat with us at success@ilovebookkeeping.com. Again, that is success@ilovebookkeeping.com. My name is Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And thank you for listening to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast.
I love bookkeeping.